Welcome to the Solopreneur Academy Podcast. This is a podcast for entrepreneurs who want to make more impact and income in less time. I'm your host, Megan, and throughout each episode, you'll learn how to create the lifestyle and legacy you want as you grow. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Solopreneur Academy Podcast. Today, we are going to talk about prioritizing and how to make your business super effective so that you can get more done in less time and get those sales in before the summer and secure some income before fall. So today, I'm going to be teaching you about the implementation matrix. This is actually something that I started using with my one-on-one clients that when I was a general coach. So if you are a general coach, if you just want to get more done as a solopreneur, and especially if you are a parent, this is going to be an episode that you are going to want to come back to over and over and over again. This is something that I've literally used from general coaching clients all the way to some of my clients who have businesses with over 20 employees. This is the way that we get things done. So for you all, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about why it's so important to be effective as an entrepreneur, especially in these summer months when schedules can be kind of crazy. Then I'm going to talk you through the first step in creating a more productive schedule, especially if you have a lot on your plate. This is going to be really helpful if you're doing things like launching. And then I'm going to give you the tool that I use called my implementation matrix. And I think it's going to be something that is insanely helpful for each and every one of you. So for you guys, if you want these awesome tools that are going to help you to be more productive and efficient, go ahead and go now to the show notes, download the worksheet that goes along with this episode and follow along with me so that you can make sure that you are actually utilizing the tools that you're listening to right now. And feel free to use these all with your clients. I have even with the intellectual property I do in my programs, I still tell my clients, feel free to use it with your people too. I feel the same way about anything I teach you in these podcast episodes, anything I have in my worksheets. Feel free to use them with your clients too, because I know it's just going to help them and make the world better in ways. So that's what we're going to be doing today. So let's talk first and foremost about why it's so important to be utilizing your time really effectively as a solopreneur when you are in these weird summer months. What happens in the summer months and why I see a lot of people stagnate in sales, even though, and I don't even know if I've talked about this much on the podcast, but I did some research and I was thinking about it. And especially with our daughter on the way, as I'm recording this podcast before it comes out, again, this is going to come out in August. But when you are thinking about when you shop the most, I want you guys to consider, just think about times of years that you typically shop the most. And for me personally, I find that during routine times in the year, I'm not as frequently on my phone doom scrolling, right? Because I've got other things to do, I've got a schedule. But during the summer months, I am typically doing things that are out of my routine. And as a human being, when you're doing things that are out of your routine and out of your typical time/comfort zone, what you're doing is a lot of times is you have more downtime than in other times of the year. It might be downtime that's kind of chaotic. Let's be real. If you are traveling and you're going to the airport, you've got a family reunion, you've got all these things coming up. That is definitely the case for some people, but there is more downtime. And so I was thinking about it and I was I think that I honestly shop more than ever during the summer months because I'm usually scrolling while I'm in the car driving to different places. If I have more time on the weekends, I might be scrolling by the pool, which is atypical for the fall months and fall, winter, and even spring. And so I was let me just see if there's a statistic about shopping and being on your phone more during the summer. And turns out it's not just me. There is a 76% social media surge that happens during the summer. And with that means that during the summer months, which we've already, as you're listening to this podcast, June and July have already passed, but June, July, and August, specifically for, of course, the US. I know I've got lots of clients in like South Africa, New Zealand, and Australia, but for my US people and for people who are in the northern hemisphere of the world, during those months, people are scrolling 76% more than in any other time of the year. I want you to think about how crazy that is. That is 3 months that are the most scrolled on times during the year. The other thing that is fascinating is 68% of people buy more things during the summer than any other time of the year, with the exception of the holidays. Literally, this is the best time to be selling and bringing in new clients is right now. And I think a lot of times as service-based solopreneurs, we are worried that our clients are going to have objections because they are traveling, hosting, going on vacation. And what you want to do is you want to refute those objections in your marketing and stay consistent. This is why this is so important to plan and use your time effectively and well, especially if you have kids home for the summer, if you're trying to navigate like family situations. You are not going to have as much time to wake up in the morning and think about, okay, what am I going to post today? Because you might be hosting a picnic, 4th of July. I mean, like those things have passed by now, but like you might have other things that are going on, back to school shopping. And so you need to use your time really, really well in these months to take advantage of that summer surge. You want to make sure that you are going in and you're actually utilizing this time insanely well, which is why I wanted to do episode 125 all about planning, to make sure that you are really productive during this time so that you can take advantage of, now that you know that this is the highest time for people to buy from you, even with the kids going back from to school, even if you are a even if your ideal client might be traveling right now. This is still the time when they want to book a consult so that they can get prepared for the fall. So I want all of your marketing to be about, hey, make sure you set your schedule now so that you can meet with me, and then we can mitigate the insanity that comes when the school year starts. Especially if you do coach parents as well, it's going to be really, really great for your marketing. So if you now know I need to be consistent on social media right now more than ever, I need to have a plan to actually create connections with people so that people see your content, which is another just important fact in social media, especially. And I know I've talked about this before, but I just want to reiterate it for anyone who's new to the podcast. In 2024 and 2025, with the surge of AI that we are seeing, a lot of accounts right now might be bot accounts. You guys might even have them following you or sending you like, get 100 followers, blah, blah, blah. So when you're thinking about those bot accounts and those AI focused accounts, what happens is the algorithm is trying to sift through the people who are real humans and then the people who are bots. So not only do you need to be consistent, a bot can be consistent too, right? You can have a bot that's posting consistently, and that is still going to signal to you need to be consistent in general, just to beat out the bots because they're going to be consistent. But in order to get people viewing your content, another good for you to just kind of have in mind is that people only see 13% of what you post on social media. So people are only seeing like if you post 10 times in the month of August, people will only see one of those posts. In order for you to make sure that they at least see one, you need to engage with people like a human being instead of doing copy and paste stuff like a bot. Now, of course, we've all been there where we copy and paste messages to people. I definitely was there when I was in my pregnancy. And for you guys, you're going to need to, in order for you to actually get people seeing your content and engaging with it, you have to make the first move. You have to engage with them to signal to the algorithms, regardless of whether you use LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, whatever it is. You need to engage in order to get engagement. In order for your post to be seen, you need to make time for that. So when we're thinking about the implementation matrix I'm going to be sharing with you, and how to plan your time, the two things that everybody needs to put on their calendar is a time for you to get your posts out and a time for you to engage with your audience and or new audiences. Those are the only two things that you need to have on your calendar. And those are things that you can wiggle around throughout the year. But those are the two things that if you want to get a sale before summer ends, you really want to be focused in on creating that. Now, when you're thinking about engaging with people and posting, I see a lot of people getting confused and they want to spend all of their time on copywriting. They want to spend all this time making sure their graphics look really good and their brand colors are great and they have really beautiful wording. But that a lot of times is to keep you safe. A lot of times people don't like to engage with people because they feel like they can be awkward, they can be misunderstood. They don't want to be like, I'm somebody who is selling products, somebody who is spamming, just like I mentioned with the bots. So a lot of times people avoid engagement. And I want to say something that I've said before on the podcast, but like I want you to think about your social media platform as a physical storefront. If you are expecting people to come in, you have to talk to actual humans and tell them that you're open. And you also, when people come into your store, you want to greet them. What I see a lot of times people do is they spend all of their time for the entire week just posting. And if you post and ghost, not only are you going to harm the algorithm, but you're also going to create a situation where you aren't actually creating engagement with your people. And then that takes them a lot longer to buy from you. If you can engage with people quickly, know what to say to them, have a good relationship with them, I would spend the majority of the time for your week, batch out your posts, get them scheduled out, and then actually engage with people. So that's what you want to be doing for the first two things that you want to have for your implementation matrix. You want to write those things down. However, I know that many of you in your businesses also have lives. We all do, right? You might have kids, you might have another job. I did that whole series on the mom series about like if you're working full time and if you're a stay-at-home mom, all these other things that can happen. And when you are thinking about being effective and productive, I think a lot of times we're like, okay, well, we've got these two to-dos for the business. But there's a lot of other things that are going on within my life that I want to also make sure that I get done. And I'm sure that you guys have heard about this, but when you are thinking about the human brain, you want to be working as effectively and as efficiently as possible. And one of the things that has been studied a lot more recently is something called mental load. It means that it's your brain's ability to withhold or to hold all of the things that you have on your to-do list that are going on throughout your day. Now, I've done old podcasts about Monday Hour One, which is how I actually calendar things. But I find at this time, if you're going back to school, if you've got some trips and last minute summer things planned, if you have your business, you might be working full time, you might just have regular household stuff going on. This is usually the time of year that things are probably the craziest for you. And this is when the mental load can stack and compound very quickly. If you are trying to remember, okay, we need to get the pesticide people to come out and spray for mosquitoes, and we also need new toilet seats, and we also need to make sure that we cancel that subscription and make that doctor's appointment and make sure that we get our back to school supplies and make sure I sign the kids up for after school care and also make sure that I get this task done for work and then make sure that I get these posts done. The list can compound really, really quickly. And what happens is if you have those lists located in different places what can happen is you could forget stuff, right? Like it's like we can be like, oh man, I totally forgot to do that. That was on my to-do list. I don't have that now as something that is going to be getting done. And you could also have a situation where you are going through and you're trying to manage multiple calendars and multiple situations at once. What I recommend to my clients when you are thinking about being really productive is instead of compartmentalizing areas of your life, which can be useful in some instances, in this instance, to improve and mitigate your mental load and overwhelm and stress about all these things that you have to do, I want you to actually compile your to-do list from all aspects of life and put it into one place. So in the worksheet, what I want you to do is, and I know that you're like, Megan, we are running, we've got things to do, people to see, places to go. But what I know for to be a fact is that a lot of times, in order to speed up, you have to slow down first. I want you to think about it. I heard this analogy that, like, if you are trying to get from point A to point B and you are just pedaling on a bicycle and you're just trying to get there as fast as you can, you're pedaling and pedaling and pedaling. That is going to be less effective than if you get off the bike, pause, put the location in your GPS and drive there. That is what I want you to do with this episode and with this worksheet. Again, download it in the show notes. But I want you to take a minute this week and I want you to pause. I want you to write down all of the things that you have to do. And I don't think this will take you more than 30 minutes to an hour. Typically, when I'm doing this with my clients, we take like 20 minutes to get this done. And I just want you to list thing after thing after thing. I need to go to the dermatologist. We need to get the dog checked out. We need to pay that person for the fence. We need to get a couch for the upstairs. We need to get this, all these things. I want you to write all of that down. Every single thing that you can think about. And we're not going to do all the things, but I want you to write down anything that is cluttering your mind, because if you have a cluttered mind, what's going to happen is your brain is going to be thinking about the dermatologist while you're trying to buy school supplies, and it's going to try and remember these things to do for your business. And again, you just learned about the summer surge. This is a really important time for you to be focused and locked in about your business. And I want to make sure you're using that time really well. So what you're going to do is you're going to go through and you're just going to write down and brain dump every single thing that you have that you could possibly think of. I want you to write down stuff that you might know is happening in other months as well. So I want you to write down things that might be happening in September, October, maybe not just November and December, but like I want you to get as much out in your head onto paper, so that way there's a physical separation between the to-do list items that you have and your actual schedule and life. So you've got this plan, we got it ready to go. And what you want to do is you want to take that list, and then you want to first and foremost take the list, and I want you to breathe, okay? Because you're going to be like, oh, this is too much to do. And you are going to get it all done in some way, shape, or form. I want you to think about how many years you've been on the planet. You've been able to get it all done before. I want you to know that you're going to be able to get it done again, okay? But we want to work smarter, not harder. And that's what this whole podcast episode is about, is implementing effectively. So I want you to take down that list, okay? And then there's going to be routine things that you have to do. And then there's going to be things that are random. So there's going to be routine and random. What I want you to do is, for the routine things, I mean, even laundry could be on there, guys, right? Like we could have so many things that are just piling up on your mind. But what I want you to do is I want you to take the routine things and I want you to actually put them on your calendar. I recommend to my clients using Google Calendar, because as awesome, I used to use agendas, color code everything, and as effective as that is, especially as an online service-based solopreneur, you're going to need to actually have things on your calendar that might be actual to-dos. And in order for people to schedule effectively with you, you really want to make sure that you're going through and actually have some things on your on a digital calendar so that you don't double book yourself. Okay. So what I recommend, take those things, put the routine things on your calendar on times that you like have the least amount of energy and the least amount of bandwidth. So like laundry. If you know that you are a morning person and you are the most locked in the morning, do you want to be putting something mundane and mindless like laundry on your morning to-do list? Absolutely not. Even if up until this point you always do laundry in the morning, it may be time for a change, my friends. So I want you to be open to that. And I want you to go through and say, okay, we've got this list of things, and I'm going to schedule the routine things very simply in my calendar. Okay. So it's the first thing, the routine, mundane things. Let's get them out of your brain and onto paper. Then you're going to be listed you're going to be less, and I want you to cross them off. Or if you are doing this on your computer, I'm a Google Doc girl. That's hence why all these worksheets are in Google Docs. You can cross it out using the strike through feature. So that it's like written out and like you can actually see that things are coming off your list. The actual like act of crossing things out is actually going to lessen your mental load so you can be more productive and more focused during the times that are the most important, okay? Then what you're going to do is you're going to go in and you're going to be left with all these random tasks. And then we're going to take the random extra tasks. This is also especially helpful for anyone who is doing something like a launch. If you are doing a webinar, if you are creating a group program for the first time, all of these things are things that most of us mentally, especially if it's your first time doing it, or even if it's your 15th launch, I want you to put out all of those tasks on your to-do list because those are not typical routine tasks unless you do what like I recommend for the mastermind and they do a monthly sales event. For you, if it's a first time, if it's a random thing, you want to write those things down on your brain dumped to-do list of all areas. Then what you want to do is you want to take it. And I adapted what's called an Eisenhower matrix to what I call the implementation matrix. And what you want to do is there are 4 categories in this implementation matrix. There is and in the matrix, when you download the worksheet, it's in the show notes. The Y axis, the vertical axis, it says I'm actually gonna pull it up. And I was like, the implementation matrix, I was like, I have it like listed out, but I didn't have it in front of me. And I was like, wait, we need to get this pulled up. Okay, so it's value and reward. So I want you to think about, okay, what are the things that are really, really valuable for me to do and things that are very important for me to do? And then on the X axis, the horizontal axis, this is where it says time. So you want to have, again, I'm going to put this in the worksheet that goes along with this, but you've got value and reward on the Y axis, the vertical axis. And then on the X axis, the horizontal axis, you have time. And so what you want to do is you want to take that big old to-do list and you're going to categorize it into 4 sections. The things that take the least amount of time and have the most value, it goes in the top left segment of this matrix and it says do. These are things that you are going to do. And I actually want you to schedule them out. I want you to, like, what I would do personally is I would actually like put all these things in the matrix, prioritize within each category, and then calendar it. But just so you know where we're going with it. So you've got all the things that are high value, low time, put in the do category. You can also guesstimate, even if you've never done something before, about how long something's going to take and you can put that next to each line item. Then the next quadrant, so it's a 4 quadrant kind of like little matrix here. Top left is do, high value, low time. The next quadrant underneath that in the bottom left is decide and delegate. Okay. This is something that is a lower value or reward, but it also takes a very minimal amount of time. So this is what you want to do is you want to write down those tasks that are a short time, short reward. And you want to write those in the bottom left quadrant. Then we want to move to the right-hand side of the quadrant. In the top right hand, there is a high value, but also a high amount of time. So this is something that is like, okay, it's a good thing. It's going to be productive. It's something that needs to be done. And also, it takes a lot of time. These are the things that you for sure need to calendar. And so I want you to put all those things that take a long amount of time and are also very valuable. And I want you to add them to the top right-hand quadrant of this implementation matrix. And then last but not least, there's the low value and high time. Okay. I want you to take those things, and especially if you're listening to this live in the month of August, this category in this quadrant, bottom right, says delete or save for later. There's going to be a lot of things on your to-do list that you're like, man, we really should get to the dermatologist. We should be doing these kind of things. And they're bringing your brain down with the mental load of those things that are just on your mind, right? You want to take those things and move them potentially to September to-dos. I want you to think about, okay, can I move any of these things? What can I save for later? A lot of us think that we have to do everything all the time, and that leads to us doing a lot of nothing well. My dad always says, if you can do anything, but you can't do everything. And I think that's a very wise decision. So you want to make sure that in your business, you are actually deleting things and taking them off of your calendar. And then know that you are going to come back to this implementation matrix in September. You're going to have more time. You will come back to this. It's not going to be like delete and oh my gosh, I totally forgot to take the dog to the vet. You're going to delete it for the month of August in your brain and then save it for later. Okay. Now, in that do category, make sure you take advantage of the summer surge. And as a part of, I would make sure it's either in the do or in your routine. I want you to put on your calendar time to batch out and get some posts out and to talk to people. I want you batching up posts weekly and talking to people daily. That is my recommendation for every single person in my programs. And if you're listening to this podcast, that's what I want for you too. And I want you to make time for those things and actually calendar it and show up with the same intensity that you would for a consultation. I want you to like actually take it really seriously and show up with a purpose because no one else is going to take you seriously if you don't take yourself seriously. And if you really want to make sales before the summer ends, you really want to take this time and energy and effort seriously. So that's what we're going to do in this first category. Okay. From there, you're going to take all of the things that are in each of the quadrants, minus the delete one, because you'll reprioritize it later. And I want you to prioritize them, schedule out how much time it's going to take, and calendar it. Now, for things like delegating, for me personally, I really struggle with delegating. I struggle with delegating to my team. I struggle with delegating to my husband, to my family. I am a control freak, and I don't know if that is you, but that is the situation that I am in. I know thyself, right? It's like I know that I'm the kind of person that I'm like, if you want something done right, you better do it yourself. We want to abandon that mentality in August, right? Your husband, if you've got things like sign up for um like for instance, I needed to get my medication and I had done like three different like random house to-dos. And I remembered that I hadn't gotten my medication refilled at our pharmacy. And so I texted my husband and I was like, hey, can you get this done? Now, the things that are important to know about delegating is a lot of times you might need to give extra reminders, and that's okay. But at least it's somewhat off of your plate, right? And that is the delegation side of things that you want to be able to really master, even as a solopreneur, because eventually you might be bringing in more people. You might be bringing in more hires. So I want you thinking about your business and about your life with this. I'm going to build the skill set of delegation. I'm going to learn how to do this. I'm going to be really good at doing this. And then we're going to be able to move forward. Okay. So that's what I want you guys to do is I want you to utilize this matrix. I want you to schedule out times that you're going to do things. And then I want you to put them on your calendar. And something else that you can do is you can like have a delegation check-in time. And usually for us, that's like around dinner. And I'll be like, hey, did you get these things done that I asked you about? And it'll be like, yeah, I did. And it's like, oh, or no, we didn't get that done. So then we kind of use it as like buffer time. So I want you guys to get some sales before summer. And of course, have that recurring income into fall. I hope that this was a really helpful episode about prioritizing. Make sure that you download this worksheet on the show notes. Again, feel free to use this with your clients too if you want to. It's been so helpful for me. I've used this with pretty much every single one of my clients, and I think it's going to be really helpful for you guys too. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next episode.
Did you know that 89% of people need to see a testimonial in order to buy? Get my free testimonial template using the link in the show notes, and you'll see exactly how I used testimonials to market my business as it grew to 120K in my first year full-time and multiple six figures every year after that. Thank you so much again for listening, and I can't wait to see you on the next episode of the Solopreneur Academy Podcast.